Holmes!
No.
What do you mean, no?
No. To your telegram, to your request.
I didn't say anything other than your name.
Your actions speak volumes, Watson. Opening the telegram, then bounding up the stairs. You would hardly do that if you weren't urgently intent on leaving in response to your news. I'm simply saving you time by telling you now. No, we're not going.
Not going... where?
Aha! Anywhere! What with the Spanish flu on the rampage, yet again, why on earth would we go to...
Nottingham?
Nottingham? Yes, especially not Nottingham.
Are you through?
Quite.
I'll tell you why. A dear friend of mine, two in fact, are in trouble.
What kind of trouble?
The criminal kind.
I'm listening.
The Kim Cat diamond has been stolen.
The Kim Cat diamond, one of the largest, most precious jewels known to man, is...
Missing, yes.
So, by inference, you must be friends with Lord Percival Egerton, Earl of Nottingham.
And Lady Grace Egerton, Countess of Nottingham. Yes, I am, and they need me. The retrieval of that stone is vital to them, and not just monetarily. That diamond represents their family legacy, and, more importantly, their reputation.
I understand. So, if you must go, then bon voyage.
Sherlock, they need me, but I need you.
Ah, yes. But, you see, the pandemic. Ring a bell. After all, it was you, my doctor, who first alerted me to the horrors of the Spanish flu. I wanted to continue working, but you persuaded me, through careful research, that the best course of action was indeed to quarantine. And now you, with a simple telegram, you wish to...
All right. Yes. As your doctor, I persuaded you. But Sherlock, it's not as if you've been an ideal patient. You've done nothing but complain for months about us being locked up here, quarantined and bored within an inch of our lives. And now, when a real opportunity comes along, a chance to solve a major case and help my dear friends, what do? Pandemic! Pandemic! Ugh.
Really? Mockery.
Sorry. Sherlock, this means a great deal to me, and we will take every precaution, I promise you.
I have but one thing to say to that. What are we waiting for?
Well, do you need it?
No. I'd rather stay here and beat my head against the wall until my unparalleled brains fall to the floor. Can you imagine the consternation of Mrs. Hudson, having to clean that up?
I knew you were bored.
2 tears, dear fellow. But still, we must take every precaution.
Of course. I'll pack numerous surgical masks to keep the flu at bay, a bottle of whiskey to sanitize our internal organs should the flu get past our masks, and we'll wear gloves.
Naturally, we are gentlemen. And one more thing. 24 hours.
24 hours?
Yes, an important way to limit our risk of exposure is to limit our time in Nottingham. Therefore, we will take but 24 hours to work the case and then, regardless of the outcome, return home. Agreed?
But that's not a lot of time, Sherlock, and what if we don't solve the case?
You know the risks better than I, Watson, and you did promise to take every precaution, correct?
I did, yes. 24 hours then. Agreed.
No time to waste. Come, Watson, let's pack our bags and get to Nottingham. The game's afoot.
What? Dear fellow.
Lord Egerton.
Ah, yes, we received your telegram. No handshaking, simply a polite nod, or in your case, a bow will do. And of course, masks all around. Welcome to Sherwood Manor. You must be
Sherlock Holmes, at your service, Lord Egerton.
delighted, Mr. Holmes. This is my wife, Lady Egerton.
Lady Egerton.
Mr. Holmes. And Dr. Watson. John.
Grace, Lady Egerton. Lovely to see you again.
The telegram also mentioned maintaining a social distance of 6 feet, I believe.
Quite.
Yes.
6 feet? That close, eh? Well, it may take some getting used to, but if it's for health and safety, then I suppose.
No, Lord Egerton. 6 feet minimum.
Minimum? Well, I shall certainly have to get closer than that. If I'm to continue pulling your leg.
Country humor.
Your bag, sir.
Ah, McClacken. There you are. You gentlemen have met our chauffeur, of course.
At the station, yes. You're new here, I believe, aren't you, McClacken?
Yes, sir. Since last December.
McClacken here seemed somewhat upset at our arrival.
Not upset, sir. Just surprised is all. Where I come from, it's the police you'd be calling for any David.
Well, when it's important and time is of the essence, one wants the best.
Begging your pardon, sir, but how is this man any better than our local lads and at the station?
Now see here.
No. The young man has a point. McClacken, is it?
Yes, sir.
Well, McClacken, I'd say you're all of what? 21, 22 years old, from Kilkenny, Ireland, by the sound of it. You were in the war, no doubt. Obviously a driver for a general. No, that's not it. You drove an ambulance. Yes, that's it. So, in the war, but not of it. A pacifist? Yes, but still. You served honorably and saved many a soul, I'm sure.
That's amazing, sir. Every bit of it's right as rain. But how could you know?
Simple deduction, my boy. The way you hold yourself. Clearly military. The Kilkenny dialect is unmistakable. Your manner behind the wheel on our drive here speaks of your automotive experience, and where else would a young lad from Ireland get such experience but from driving in the war? Your ease with the bag showed you had extensive work carrying heavy objects. Soldiers on cops would fit that bill. In wartime, the role of ambulance driver is usually reserved for those opposed to killing, hence pacifist. And as for you serving honorably, well, I assumed as much. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here at Sherwood Manor working for Lord Egerton, now would you?
No, sir. Excuse me, sir.
Extraordinary.
Elementary, dear fellows.
Well, seems we'll all have to keep on our toes with this one around.
Well, only every single moment.
Nonsense. I work best, in fact, when everyone is at their ease. With that in mind, I do have an additional request to make. I think it would be best if all the firearms on the estate were locked away during our stay.
Put away our firearms? What are they for?
Well, I myself never carry such weapons, and I think it would be best to have us all on equal footing.
Now, see here.
What you may not know, Sherlock, is that Lord Egerton, in addition to being the Earl of Nottingham, was a decorated officer during the Second Boer War. In fact, I served under him as his first lieutenant.
Impeccably, I might add.
Thank you, sir. The point being, for such an officer to have one's sidearm locked away would make one feel, well...
Exposed.
Exposed or not, I really must insist.
Sherlock, I believe I have a solution. What if we made an exception in Lord Egerton's case? What if he alone were allowed a pistol of his choosing kept in a secure location, say, his desk? Lord Egerton, I believe your desk has a drawer that locks, to which only you have the key. Is that correct?
Yes. As a matter of fact, I carry the key on me at all times. Yes, I suppose that could work.
In that case, yes. Yes, I agree.
Good, that's settled.
McClacken, take all the pistols and hunting rifles on the estate and bring them to the basement. I'll have Graves check them and secure them in a storage locker shortly.
Gladly, sir.
I'll take my revolver and lock it in my desk in the study. As a matter of fact, I have some work there which requires my immediate attention. If If you'll excuse me, gentlemen. So glad you can make it.
Thank you, sir.
Would you like tea after your journey, gentlemen?
Why, yes.
Ah, Watson and I would like nothing more, dear lady, but alas, duty calls. Well, Watson enlightened me about a number of things on the train ride up from London. I'll still need to interview you all personally. But, first and foremost, I must attend to the scene of the crime immediately. Time is of the essence. 2:30 p.m., Watson. And ticking.
Yes, you're right. I understand. We must hurry. Sorry, Lady Grace.
It's fine, I assure you. Graves will show you to the room of the Dowager Lady Evelyn. The Kim Cat diamond was given to her husband, the late Lord Egerton, more than 40 years ago. But I'm sure she will tell you all about it. She usually does. The rest of us are at your disposal. Ah, Graves. This is Mr. Sherlock Holmes. Dr. Watson you already know.
Pleased to meet you, sir. Dr. Watson.
Please take our distinguished guests to see the Dowager in her room.
No need, Lady Grace. I know the way.
Lady Maribel's with the Dowager present.
Maribel is Lord Percy and Lady Grace's daughter.
Yes, you mentioned her on the train. Quite delightful from your description. I'm looking forward to meeting her. I'm sure she'll prove extremely valuable in our inquiries.
Very well then. Graves, please take the bags up to the guest rooms, then attend to Lord Egerton in his study.
Yes, my lady.
I myself have an appointment with the cook. Excuse me, chef.
Lady Grace.
John.
But Grandmama.
Enter.
Lady Evelyn. Lady Maribel. Lovely to see you again. May I present Mr. Sherlock Holmes?
Ladies.
Yes, quite exciting, Mr. Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Fiddle. All of this avoidance of physical contact is really quite a nuisance. But as Grandmama keeps telling me, rules are rules for a reason. Apparently.
Yes, they are. Perhaps one day you may even learn to abide by them. Dr. Watson, and Mr. Sherlock Holmes, the famous detective of whom we've heard so much.
Lady Evelyn, a pleasure to meet you. And you as well, Lady Maribel. I only wish we were meeting under less dire circumstances.
Quite. It's all very distressing. Do you think you can apprehend the culprit and return the diamond?
Holmes has never failed yet.
Watson and I shall do our utmost. And so, to the task at hand. Could you tell me what happened yesterday evening when you discovered the Kim Cat diamond was missing?
Well, we had retired to the sitting room after dinner.
Dr. Lawrence, it was delicious. Our chef really is immense.
I prefer beef. Traditional English beef. As I was saying, after drinks and polite conversation in the sitting room, I asked Maribel to accompany me here, to my room. I wanted to discuss her future prospects before retiring. Since Libby was still clearing away from dinner,
Libby is our maid.
Maribel was helping me put away my pearls.
In fact, I was helping her put them on before dinner. At any rate, when we came back, that's when we saw the Kim Cat diamond was missing, just there.
This box.
Yes.
Look, Watson. Scratches around the keyhole.
Yes, I see.
Do you think they scratched it when they forced it open?
Perhaps. Who has access to the house and grounds?
Only the family and staff.
The delivery men, of course, but with the pandemic, they leave all the deliveries outside. They ring the bell to let the staff know when to bring things in.
No outsiders are allowed in then?
None, saving you and Mr. Holmes.
The doors and windows.
All locked, and Graves checks them daily.
And there was no sign of a break-in whatsoever.
You have guard dogs, if I recall. Did any of them sound an alarm yesterday evening?
Not a pip, and they certainly would have. They'd bark their heads off whenever a stranger is about. They're lovely that way.
It's all quite a puzzle. Who has a key to this box?
Only I.
Has it, or anything else on this dressing table, been moved?
Well, We searched for the stone naturally, but only Grandmama, Libby, and myself.
I called for Libby immediately when I saw the jewelry box open.
And once we saw the stone was good and truly gone, we haven't touched a thing. Father was quite insistent on that point.
Good man. There might be fingerprints, but with no sign of a break-in, none that would be useful, I imagine. But there's something not quite right here.
Everything's not quite right in this topsy-turvy world in which we are now attempting to live.
Sorry, gentlemen. Grandmother is just upset. You see, we're quite short-staffed at present. Between losing staff to the war and limiting staff due to the pandemic, we are quite limited. Not only has Libby been doubling her maid duties, dressing Mother and Grandmama, but also helping serve our meals.
It's positively barbaric.
Yes, I see. And who helps you with your clothing, Lady Maribel?
No one. I manage on my own. I find it much easier going now that I've liberated myself from that horrid corset.
Maribel, really?
Sorry, Grandmama. Excuse me, gentlemen.
Oh, not at all. I find your affable honesty quite refreshing. Though it must be difficult for you. Such a vivacious young lady being cooped up in here all this time. How on earth do you manage?
It isn't easy.
For any of us.
But I read a lot. I take long walks on the estate. Have Sean, McLacken, our chauffeur, take me for long drives, and I watch a lot of Ned flips.
I'm sorry. Net flips?
No, Ned flips.
What are Ned flips?
You've seen flip books.
Ah, yes, those little books with slightly different images on each page, so that when you flip through the books from cover to cover...
You get a little moving picture. Exactly. It's extraordinary. I mean, each picture is quite lovely, but when you put them in movement, you see, those before and those after, only then do you get the whole story. It comes alive. Really, it's magical. Like having your own kinetoscope from Brighton, your very own home. You see, there's this chap in London, Ned Snodgrass, who makes these...
Hence, Ned flips.
Exactly, yes!
Better than Snodgrass flips.
Quite.
In fact, you see, for a subscription, you can get a new Ned flip every week. Some come in a series. We have quite a collection. One can spend hours and hours
And ours.
simply sitting there watching Ned flips.
I prefer picture puzzles.
Would either of you like to...
Perhaps later.
No.
Well, I better be off. I've asked McLacken to take me for another drive. Is there anything else you need from me, Mr. Holmes?
Not at this time.
Well, I shall see you later for dinner, I'm sure.
Good day.
Well, Lady Evelyn, is there anything else you'd like to add? Anything you think we should know?
Yes. As a matter of fact, there is. Do you know the history of the Kim Cat Diamond, Mr. Holmes?
Lady Evelyn, perhaps...
No, dear lady, I do not. But I'd like to.
I have some photos here that I think will enlighten you as to our family's connection to the stone. But before that, let us consider the diamond itself. It is, of course, quite old, ancient, in fact. It was discovered in Kimberley, South Africa, well known for diamonds today. But millennia ago, as the diamond was forming, there were no humans thereabouts to discover it. Only very large cats, saber-toothed tigers, roaming that part of the continent, you see. Not that I can testify to this personally, you understand. That is simply what the archaeologists tell me. Now, and so, the diamond was given to my husband, the late Lord James Egerton, in this very ceremony near the end of the First Boer War. The commander of the troops at the time, Major General Colley, awarded the stone in appreciation for his life having been saved in battle.
So, your husband was personally responsible for saving General Colley?
My husband and his men.
The men included in this photo, no doubt. Fascinating. Reminds me. Yes.
Mr. Holmes.
Thank you, dear lady. Your assistance has been invaluable. Still, I must continue my investigation. Time is of the essence. Watson?
Snodgrass! What? Holmes, you... What?
Must continue on, dear fellow. Tick-tock.
Right.
I'd like to meet with Graves next. He's downstairs, presumably.
Yes, I'll show you the way.
Thank you again, Lady Evelyn. See you shortly.
Lady Evelyn.
I wonder.
We can take the back stairs just through here.
Good, but a moment, Watson. What do you know of Graves?
Quite a lot, actually. We served together in the Second Boer War. He was Percy's personal attendant even then.
And continues on to this day as his butler. Is he trustworthy?
Completely.
We'll see. As you know him so well, I'd like you to take the lead on questioning him. I think he might be more open if the questions were coming from you.
Yes, I see. Certainly.
As we'll be in the servants' area, I would like to bring Libby into the questioning as well.
All right.
Onward.
Eddie's.
Yes, sir. How may I help you, gentlemen? Just a few questions for you. And Libby, is she about? Yes, she's right through there. Libby.
Yes, Jane, Mr. Graves.
You know Dr. Watson? This is Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
All right, Mr. Holmes, the detective, right. Good to meet you, sir.
And you?
They have a few questions for us. Naturally.
Yeah, I see.
After all, the butler and the maid. You two know all the goings-on in such a grand house, now don't you?
I hope you ain't asking us to tell any tales now, are you, sir?
Not at all. Our questions will be solely focused on the case at hand, the missing diamond.
And those who might be involved.
It's all right, Libby.
Yes, it's all right, Libby.
Now, Graves, about the start. How long has everyone been here?
Let's see. Myself, I've been here 17 years this June. Started just after the Second Boer War ended. Libby here started, what, nearly 10 years ago, Libby?
Nearly 11.
I stand corrected. Chef Le Bon came last January, so just over a year for her. And McClacken just a couple of months, since December.
So, Le Bon and McClacken are both newcomers, so to speak.
What do you know of them?
Well, not much really, but
Le Bon is an excellent cook.
yes.
I know that.
Excellent.
Years ago, Lady Grace had chefs cooking while in Paris. She liked it so much she asked her to come back with her to England. Chef said no at the time, but after she lost her husband to the Great War, she said yes, and well, we've been blessed with her marvelous meals ever since.
Yes. Blessed with the quarantine.
Quarantine?
Those 10 extra pounds you get from being under quarantine with a great chef.
Oh, we wouldn't know. Not with Mrs. Hudson's cooking.
True. And McClacken? How did he end up here?
One of Lord Egerton's friends from the military recommended him. I don't recall whom.
What do you think of him, McClacken?
Well, he's very...
He's good with an automobile.
Yes, but a bit brash at times.
True, and a little too close to Lady Maribel for my liking.
And mine.
Noted.
Good. Now, last night, after dinner.
Yes, what happened?
Well, after dinner, the family adjourned to the sitting room, as usual. I joined them to serve drinks.
After the family and Graves left, McClacken and me began cleaning the dinner things back downstairs, and started helping Chef clean up.
You did return once, didn't you, Libby, when Lady Evelyn rang for you?
Oh, yeah, I did. She wanted me to get her purse, had a brooch or something. She wanted to show Lady Grace.
You got her purse from...
Our room.
the Dowager's room. The room where the Kim Cat diamond was stolen last night.
Oh, I don't know. I suppose. I didn't really think.
You didn't think. Was the jewelry box open when you went in?
I don't know. I didn't see. The lights were off. With the light from the hall, I could see the purse laying on the bed there. So I just took the purse and took it to Lady Evelyn.
You just...
Gentlemen.
Really? Unless...
Yes?
Unless... You're lying, Libby.
What?
See here.
Holmes?
Oh, come now, Watson. It'd be the easiest thing in the world. Take the key from her mistress's purse, open the jewelry box, take the jewel, and... Oh, what's the saying, Libby? Bob's your uncle.
But no, I couldn't. I'm a good Christian woman.
Easy enough to say.
How dare you? You, sir, are no gentleman. Why, I'll...
Graves, really? It's not as if Libby's your wife. Unless, of course, she is, isn't she?
Well... She...
Yes, sir, I am.
What? Do Lady Grace and Lord Percy know?
No, sir.
What gave us away?
The little things, the tone in your voices, the looks without looking, stopping yourself from saying dear. I knew something was up, and I had to know what. So I pressed you, Libby. But when I saw the convictions of your faith, I soon discovered the two of you are married.
We didn't want to hide it. We just weren't sure what Lord and Lady Edgerton would do if they knew.
Sometimes women can't stay in service once they've wed. But, you see, we fell in love, so...
So we married. But secretly.
And kept it a secret, but never lied.
I suppose I can understand that, but I think you underestimate your employers. The depth of their own love would hardly allow them to punish you for being similarly engulfed.
I hope you're right, sir. We'll find out soon enough. We have to tell him, James.
Yes, of course. Ah, that'll be Lord Percy.
And Lady Evelyn.
Excuse us, gentlemen.
I'm so glad we know what they were hiding. And that it doesn't involve theft.
I suppose, but the revelation of their marriage doesn't exclude them from involvement with the diamond. Now, we must continue to keep a close eye on them both.
I see. Yes, quite.
Well, on to Lady Grace and Chef Le Bon for me. I believe they are in the kitchen at present, yes?
That's right. Grace did mention that. It's just down the hall, this way.
Thank you, dear fellow, but I'm afraid you won't be joining us.
Why shouldn't I?
I have an urgent task for you. I need you to go down to the local constabulary, just down the road here, and find out all the local police know about the thieves in the area. Names, addresses, that sort of thing.
But
Yes?
there was no sign of a break-in.
No sign as of yet. Perhaps they've been clever.
If so, can the local police really be of help?
They could be quite helpful. The local police would have information, details about how the thieves around here operate. That, in turn, could prove vital in returning this important family jewel to your dear friends.
Really think so? I mean, our time is so limited.
I absolutely think so. And what better use of time could there be if it proves fruitful?
Well, I suppose I shall be off then. Please give Grace my regrets, but duty calls, apparently. Of course, I'll see her and everyone at dinner this evening.
Of course.
Right.
Well, off you go then.
Yes, I'm going.
Good. Hello.
Oh, we're in here.
Ah, there you are. Lady Grace, good afternoon.
Mr. Holmes, good afternoon. May I introduce Chef Marie Le Bon?
Bonjour.
Chef Le Bon, I've heard so much about you. And, of course, your exemplary culinary skills.
Monsieur Holmes, I have heard much of you as well. And your skill in, how you say, seduction?
Oh, I'm quite certain you mean deduction, as I have little to no skill at all in the former.
Ah, the English. Always in the head. But life, she flows from the heart, no?
Yes, but cut off the head and the heart dies.
True, but might there be room for both? Oui?
Agreed. You know, Chef Le Bon, everything here smells delicious. Tell me, do you ever prepare English cuisine?
English cuisine? Is this a thing? But the English fare, aptly put, no? I cook it when I must.
Well, whatever I'm smelling, I can't wait for dinner.
Excellent food requires the patience, monsieur. Also, it requires the chef, if I may.
Of course, chef.
One more thing before you go. Last night, I know Libby was called away twice for helping clean up after dinner. Once to retrieve Lady Evelyn's purse, and finally to help in search for the diamond.
Oui, the Kim cat, mon Dieu!
After McClacken came down to help clean up, did he ever leave the downstairs area?
Let me think. No.
And you yourself?
Me? No. Le chef's work, she is never done.
Very well. Well, I shan't keep you. Good day.
Au revoir.
Mr. Holmes.
Dr. Watson sends his regrets. He was called away at the last moment.
Called away? By whom?
Well, I said called away, but it would be more accurate to say sent. I needed him to retrieve some information for me from the local constabulary.
I see.
As do I. By the way, Watson is quite taken with the love you share with your husband, apparently.
Yes, well, that doesn't surprise me.
No?
No. He's rather extraordinary in that way. Such a generous spirit is our John Watson.
Quite. How he puts up with me, you'll never know.
Quite. Would it be fair to say this is all part of your interrogation tactics?
Interrogation tactics? Well, that sounds so combative.
It does, doesn't it? It needn't be, I assure you.
Good. Just a few questions then.
I'm at your disposal.
Last night, while in the dining room, in the sitting room afterwards, did any of the family members or servants leave the room for any extended period of time?
Libby and McClacken came in and out to serve the food and drinks, then clear things away. But neither was gone for an extended period. No longer than expected for the task at hand, at any rate.
And Graves was there the entire time?
Yes, overseeing the staff and later serving drinks in the sitting room.
Once in the sitting room, did anyone leave?
No. Libby brought the Dowager her purse, then returned downstairs to help clean up. Maribel and the Dowager left shortly thereafter and immediately discovered the theft.
What do you make of the fact that there was no sign of a break-in?
Well, it could mean that no one broke in, or perhaps they were simply quite clever in how they did it.
My thoughts exactly. Though I must say, you don't seem particularly panicked by what has happened.
I don't panic easily, Mr. Holmes. I find it rarely helps any situation.
You would make a first-rate detective, Lady Grace.
I'm sufficiently satisfied with my current station in life, thank you.
Sufficiently satisfied. Interesting. And novel. Well, I so appreciate the information you shared.
Not much to be grateful for, I'm afraid.
Oh no, information is often useful, like pieces of a puzzle, and the value of a single piece is rarely known until they're all assembled.
Quite true.
That is, unless one prefers Ned flips.
Ned flips? What are you... you've been talking with Maribel.
Yes, she's quite delightful.
Yes, quite. Sometimes to the extreme. But what do her precious Ned flips have to do with all this?
You know, I'm not really sure yet. On a different note, John Watson, your relationship with him is...
Not relevant to your investigation, I should think.
Perhaps not. Perhaps so.
We are friends. Good friends. Long-standing. Unshakable.
Thank you very much, Lady Edgerton.
A pleasure, Mr. Holmes.
Oh, one final question. What did you think of the brooch?
The brooch?
Yes, the piece of jewellery Lady Evelyn showed you from her purse last night. What did you think of it?
What did I think of it? Not much, I'm afraid. It's not really my style.
Curious she felt the need to show it to you.
Perhaps so. Perhaps not.
Until dinner?
Till then.
Oh, yes, one more thing. Forgot to ask. Your husband's study.
Up one floor, west wing, can't miss it. Especially as your detective.
Ah, Mr. Holmes.
Lord Edgerton.
How goes the investigation?
The hunt continues. The scent of the prey grows stronger by the hour.
Good man. I have done as you asked. My revolver is safely locked inside, and here is the key. Now, how may I help you?
I'd like to know more about the terrain I'm encountering as I hunt my prey. Where are the pastures? Where are the woods, the swamps, the briar patches? That sort of thing.
Ah, I see. And is your terrain metaphor personal? Relational? Financial?
Yes, I suspect so. But let's start with financial. The diamond is, of course, exceedingly valuable. Having it, or perhaps an insurance payment from a claim on its loss, would certainly fill the coffers. And then some. And how are your coffers currently, Lord Edgerton?
Sufficiently full, thank you.
Sufficiently. There's that word again. So you're telling me that even with the struggles during the war, your finances are...
Yes, the war brought struggles, but opportunities as well. You see, the war effort required timber, food, resources. And thankfully, the estate was able to provide a portion of what was needed.
For a price.
For a reasonable and fair price, yes. All that to say, we have not fallen into financial straits due to the war.
Clearly, it's good to have friends in high places.
Hello?
It's good to have friends, period. Oh, Watson, do come in. Mr. Holmes was just rifling my bank ledger.
Metaphorically speaking.
And it felt real to me.
Well, Watson, what did you learn from the local constabulary?
Local constabulary? You didn't tell them the Kim Cat was missing, did you?
No. I was there to get information on local thieves. I pretended to be a security consultant for the estate, and they were none the wiser.
Good. And what did you learn?
That Nottingham is no London. While there are a few petty thieves in the area, there have been no significant thefts, no major crimes at all to speak of.
Well, I could have told you that.
Holmes, this was a complete waste of time.
Not at all, dear fellow. I still say it was important to check. The picture won't be fully formed without this vital information.
I suppose.
Now, if you'll join me, I was just about to ask Lord Edgerton if he'd made any enemies over the years.
Enemies? Percy?
Well, apart from wartime, none that I can think of.
None? No strong rivalries turned sour, perhaps?
Oh, rivalries, certainly. Sour.
No. Percy fights hard to win, but is well known for his fair play, honesty, and decency.
Well, thank you, John. That means a great deal coming from you.
I suspected no less, especially to have won the hand of so lovely and clever a woman as Lady Grace.
Ah, you noticed. That campaign was hard fought, I can tell you. Isn't that right, John?
Yes, it was hard fought, but well earned.
Well, I think I have what I need, Lord Edgerton, for now.
Well, glad to hear it.
Have our things been taken to our rooms? I should like to retire and consider the pieces of this puzzle before me, then dress for dinner.
You can meet Graves at the top of the stairs down the corridor there. He'll show you to your rooms. Gentlemen.
Come, Watson.
Lord Edgerton?
It's definitely something, this case. Not quite a puzzle, though.
Not the case. It's a puzzle why you sent me to the constabulary.
Oh, that. Not at all, Watson. I already explained that.
You explained part of it. A small part, I suspect. Now, what's the real reason?
You really want to know?
I certainly do.
I'll tell you then. I sent you there to get you out of the way,
Out of the way?
so I could be alone with Lady Edgerton.
You fiend!
Watson, really? You think I would stoop so low as to attempt an assignation with another man's wife?
Well, I mean, this is no ordinary woman. Grace is quite beautiful. And a countess.
Nor would I, in any way, dear fellow, betray you.
Me? Well, what have I to do with it?
Your relationship with Lady Grace. She explained it to me.
She did? And what did she say?
Her exact words.
Yes, please.
She said you are good friends, long-standing, unshakable.
Quite right.
Now, Watson, you know me well enough to know that I would never do anything to get in the way of that. I merely wanted you out of the way to keep her off her guard, to not have you to fall back on, as it were.
Well, all right. Wait, what were you puzzled by earlier?
Not quite puzzled, no, that's not quite the right metaphor. It has more to do with clarifying the picture, although not so static a story.
Well, yes, it's a shame you can't flip to the end of the story of this investigation. It would certainly save a lot of our very limited time.
Flip? A flip book, yes, that could be it. Although, no, perhaps.
Holmes? What is it?
Beef, I think. Yes, delectable beef. Shall we?
Certainly.
Marvelous meal.
At least it was beef.
Not just beef, exquisitely prepared Chateaubriand.
Oh, and the souffle.
Oh, as light as a cloud. And tonight I shall dream of being a cherub floating on that cloud. Then I shall eat my way through the souffle, fall back to earth, and awaken in my bed with a smile on my face.
Well said, Lady Maribel. However, as with all things, it's the ending that matters most. And that ending, creme brulee. Perfection. It's simply one of the finest meals I've had. I envy you, Lord Edgerton.
Well, I'm certainly glad you enjoyed it. And now we come to the portion of the evening I have been awaiting. Drinks and conversation with you, Mr. Holmes. Please, enlighten us as to your findings thus far.
Well, yes. Yes, I suppose that's only fair.
Graves, please save the drinks until after Mr. Holmes shares his findings with us.
Yes, my lady. Watson and I have spent the afternoon examining, interviewing, and, in general, acquiring elements of the story that is the missing Kimcat diamond. The how and the why that surrounds the jewel's mysterious departure have gotten significantly clearer. What I can say, with great assurance, is...
Yes?
You know, the others really should be here.
The others?
Le Bon, McLachlan, and Libby.
I don't see why.
Perhaps so, Mr. Holmes. Graves, please have Libby, McLachlan, and Le Bon join us.
As you wish, my lady.
Thank you.
Not at all. They should be here shortly.
You know, Mr. Holmes, it really is quite a thrill to have you here.
Yes, indeed.
I mean, not only has Dr. Watson told us of your exploits, but the papers too. I mean, really.
Absolutely.
I believe I still have a few clippings upstairs, and I was wondering if you could maybe autograph one for me.
Maribel, dear.
What, Mother? Well, I think it's a crime to be excited. In England, at any rate.
Only among the aristocracy, Maribel. But don't worry. Your secret's safe with me. And I'd be delighted to sign anything you wish.
I still don't see why.
Sorry for keeping you, my lady. We were washing up from washing up, if you know what I mean.
It's fine, Libby. Now, Mr. Holmes.
Right. I thought it best for you all to be here when I share the vital findings about the Kimcat. But first, Chef Le Bon.
Oh.
That really was a first-rate meal. One of the finest I've had in many a year. Please know that I am speaking from my heart when I offer you a very sincere thank you.
From the art? Well, this proves yet again the way to a man's art is through his stomach. Good food, the language of love. You were welcome, monsieur. It was nothing.
Nothing? Well, to you perhaps. I mean, I'm sure you hear this sort of adulation all the time, but...
No.
Well, nonetheless, it was truly exceptional.
Merci. I will cook for vous anytime.
Oh, well, yes, thank you.
Holmes.
Yeah, oh, right, the Kim Cat. Shall I simply flip to the ending?
Yes!
Good. The long and the short of it is this. I believe I now know what has happened to the Kim Cat, and I shall have the family jewel in hand by tomorrow morning. No, that's all I shall say for tonight. We shall meet here again at 8 a.m. when I will reveal all. Good night.
Sherlock!
What on earth is happening?
I can't say. No. I can say this. For Sherlock Holmes to make such a pronouncement, you can trust that he means every word. Be back here at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning and see what happens. Good night.
I'll have that drink now, Graves.
Libby, there you are. What took you so... What are they doing here? I asked you to fetch McCracken.
Yes, m'lady, but McCracken's nowhere to be found.
What?
He's gone, I tell ya. You must have driven the Wolsey off. It's gone too.
Traitorous boy!
I knew you needed a doctor, and, well, Mr. Holmes came with him.
I can see that.
I'm sorry you're not feeling well, milady.
Doctor, do you think it could be the Spanish flu?
I seriously doubt that's what we're dealing with. With so little contact with anyone who might be carrying the disease, there's very little opportunity for you to have been infected with it.
But the coughing...
We shall have you sorted out shortly.
Very well.
I, too, am sorry for your sudden illness, Lady Evelyn. But out of curiosity, why send for McCracken?
Isn't it obvious? I wanted to get far away from my family, in case this is the dreaded pandemic.
I see, yes. Very thoughtful of you. I think, however, your fears may be a bit premature. I have every confidence in Dr. Watson's abilities to bring you around to full health.
I certainly hope so. I planned on calling for him immediately upon reaching the solitude of my own home. Libby, bring me a handkerchief, please.
Yes, m'lady.
Then take these soiled ones down to be laundered. I shall surely need them tomorrow. Later today, I mean.
I'll take these down now.
I shall join you, Libby, to give Dr. Watson and Lady Evelyn the proper privacy for his examination. This way.
Bonjour.
Good morning, Chef LeBon.
Good. Morning.
Good morning, John.
Holmes will be here shortly. Lady Evelyn, how are you feeling this morning?
Much better, thank you.
Were you ill, Mother?
Yes. A nasty cough from last night, but Dr. Watson assures me it was merely a bit of congestion. From all that rich food we had for dinner, no doubt.
Mon Dieu.
What?
Nothing. I was merely commenting on the weather. Mon Dieu.
It is lovely weather, isn't it? If that's not too enthusiastic for everyone.
Oh, it's fine.
Oh, my dear.
Good morning, everyone. Are we all met?
All but McClacken, traitor.
Yes, well, I expect him to join us quite shortly.
Really? I assumed he was long gone.
Oh no. Let's give him a moment, shall we?
Mr. Holmes, if you would please.
Certainly. An honor.
McCracken, there you are. So glad you're back.
Good to be back, my lady.
Where have you been, McClacken?
I shall answer that. He drove the Wolsey just outside the estate gates and spent the night in it, per my instructions. Now, shall I clear things up?
Yes.
Good. This case has been perplexing from the beginning. Series of uncertain puzzle pieces. But yes, also a kind of unfinished flip book, with the forward movement being tied directly to the past. And above all, paradox and mystery. A theft with no break-in, so not stolen by someone from outside. Then what of the family? Using the insurance claim to refill the coffers, perhaps? Yet the coffers are full, at least sufficiently full, by all accounts. Then what of the servants? As an attempt to reach for someone above their station in life, perhaps?
Now, hold on.
Or perhaps as a means of revenge against one who makes snide comments towards their cooking.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Or even as a means to a well-deserved honeymoon.
Honeymoon? The servants?
I thought you were going to...
Yes, but there's no time, you see. James and me...
Great.
Sir,
Libby, you and...
Congratulations! How wonderful! We must throw a party after the pandemic and all. Right, Mother? Right, Father?
Well,
Of course. This is a cause for celebration. After the pandemic.
Thank you,
my
sir.
lady.
As I was saying, motives. Yes, all of these were possible motives, but then what of opportunity?
Quite right, Mr. Holmes. None of us had the opportunity to steal the Kim Cat because we were all in sight of each other the entire evening.
All but Libby.
But I never...
I know, Libby. You never stole anything, much less the Kim Cat.
What makes you so sure? I mean, it's possible you could be wrong about her.
It is possible, yes. But in this case, I'm quite right. For here is the diamond.
in hand, as promised.
That's amazing. But what about the theft?
That's the biggest paradox of all, for although the diamond disappeared, there was no theft. And to avoid a future theft, the diamond shall be placed in a secure bank vault quite soon.
Not soon enough. I'll have that, please.
Don't give it to him, Mr. Holmes.
You heard the Dowager. I'm inclined to agree with her.
What about? No!
Give it to him, Mr. Holmes.
Percy, you fiend!
Everyone stay still. Calm down. I see you realize the real family jewel, Mr. McCracken. But a pistol. Really. And here I was thinking you were a pacifist.
I don't like killing, but I'm not opposed to it for those who deserve it. You see, the Great War wasn't my war, was it? I mean, why should I do the dirty work for the English? And how else can I get the driving experience I would need to become the Edgerton chauffeur, except by driving an ambulance?
So your so-called pacifism was merely a pathway to becoming the Edgerton chauffeur, which was merely a means of getting your hands on the Kim Cat. Clever.
Wait a minute, that's my pistol. How do you have it? I still have my key.
And I have a copy.
Well, how on earth did you get...
Flip back a few years and I think you'll find McClacken's key was given to him by his grandfather.
You're clever yourself, Mr. Holmes. Yes, my grandfather served under the late Lord James Edgerton during the First Boer War.
What?
From your album, Lady Evelyn, I noticed a similarity between McLachlan and one of the men in the photo with your husband, Lord James.
Grandpa Connor had access to your father's desk, Lord Percival. The desk you now use. He thought an extra key might come in handy someday. You see, it was him that saved Major General Colley, not your father. But did he ever receive so much as a thank you? Never. All the thanks, all the reward went to your husband, Lady Evelyn. But I'm here to proclaim what's right them our families.
I'm quite certain the true ownership of the diamond is yet to be determined.
I'm determining it now. And as you an aversion to guns, Mr. Holmes, suggest you hand it over.
You're quite right. I do find firearms to be rather inelegant weapons, and so I avoid them. Watson, on the other hand...
Stay back or I'll kill her!
Everyone, stay where you are! Mr. McLachlan, it is already established that you are a clever man. Think this through, Sean. Of all the people in the room, no one is more innocent than Maribel. You know this is true. You know her heart. Look at her. What would killing her possibly gain you? On my oath and on Watson's considerable skill with a pistol, I promise you, her death would only assure you of your own. May I? Yes, Graves, you may break the social distance rule in this instance. In fact, you all can. Do you have some place to secure him until the police arrive?
Yes, sir. I can lock him in the storage closet downstairs.
Good man. Do so.
I will help with the keys. No breakfast for vous.
Well done, Holmes.
Thank you, Watson. Your assistance has been invaluable as ever.
Mr. Holmes, how can we ever repay you?
Yes, Mr. Holmes, we are forever in your debt.
Nonsense. The bulk of the credit goes to Lady Evelyn.
Mother?
After all, she thought up the scheme to get me here by taking her own diamond.
Oh, Mama, you took the Kim cat? But how? I saw the diamond in the jewelry box when I was helping with your pals before dinner. I saw you lock the box before we left, and I was with you the entire evening. When we came back, the box was open and the stone was gone. You couldn't have taken it, could you?
Well, with a bit of assistance.
Libby.
You said she didn't steal it.
And
I didn't steal it, I delivered it to its rightful owner. Now, how could that be stealing?
Well,
now, Watson, who are you to argue morality with a good Christian woman?
I see your point and concede.
But why? Why take it at all?
Well, I knew something was amiss. Libby and Graves were acting strangely. Maribel was too close to that McLachlan snake, whom I never trusted. And then the food, really. Something had to be done. I needed someone with a keen eye to get to the bottom of all that was happening. And as Dr. Watson had sung the praises of this Sherlock fellow for years, I thought,
Lady Evelyn, you are a genius.
there are very few benefits to aging, my dear. If we don't make use of the wisdom we gain, we're sunk.
Well put, Mother.
But, Mr. Holmes, how did you get the diamond? Did Lady Evelyn give it to you?
I most certainly did not.
No. In fact, she tried to slip it past me. First, by attempting to leave the manor. The ruse of self-quarantine due to a sudden case of the Spanish flu was rather transparent.
I was desperate.
When Watson and I showed up, rather than McLachlan, she was forced to improvise, concealing the diamond in a basket of soiled handkerchiefs. Quite clever.
But not clever enough, apparently.
What amazes me, Mr. Holmes, is that you knew you would have the diamond in hand by morning.
Well,
May I?
by all means, dear fellow.
I suspect he didn't know he'd have the Kim cat. He merely made the pronouncement as a means of flushing his prey out into the open. A small lie to achieve a greater truth.
But he didn't lie.
Well, he most certainly.
No. Libby is quite right. Libby,
He said he'd have the family jewel at Amber morning, and, well,
here she is. I had hoped to have the Kim Cat in hand, but I was confident to have Lady Maribel on hand, especially after I had instructed McClacken to leave the estate as a precaution.
Mr. Holmes, you're simply wonderful.
Considering the source, high praise indeed. And on that note, Watson, our bags. We have a train to catch. And look, we finished well within our 24-hour limit.
In fact, 6 hours to spare. But with McClacken locked up, who will drive us to the station?
Oddly enough, Chef Levon can manage it. It turns out she is quite a fine driver.
Is there nothing that woman can't do?
Wait, before you go, I really must thank you, Dr. Watson. And thank you, Mr. Holmes. I am hugging you both deep in my heart.
Dear Lady Maribel, never lose your enthusiasm. I suspect the value of it has gone up considerably in the last 10 minutes or so. Amongst your family, at any rate.
Here, here.
Indeed.
Well, we really must go.
Yes, goodbye, everyone. Stay vigilant, be patient, and remember, this pandemic too shall pass. Holmes?
Not another telegram, I hope.
No, but it is from Nottingham.
Well, what have we here?
Only one way to find out. One for you and one for me.
It's from Lord Percival. Payment for our services. And then some. Quite generous and much appreciated. And you?
Just a note of thanks.
From Lady Grace, by chance.
By chance, yes. What else is in here? Some bread.
Oh, not just any bread, Watson. Brioche. Soft, buttery deliciousness in the guise of bread. Oh, and what else? What else? Eggs, syrup, icing, sugar. Watson, do you realize what this is?
What?
Chef Le Bon has sent us the ingredients for French toast. Our French toast kit. That woman.
Sounds delicious. Wait, there's one more thing in here.
It's from Lady Maribel. To brighten up your day while in quarantine. I think I know. And I'm correct. We'll be able to sit here for hours and hours.
And hours simply watching Netflix.
Oh, she really is the family jewel.
Truly. But first, breakfast?
Breakfast, yes. And perhaps with all this decadence, we may even be able to achieve a quarantine. To the kitchen.
The kitchen.
Mrs. Hudson.